Just tuned in, this election is going down to the wire, though at this stage it does appear unexpectedly that Trump is quite clearly ahead at this time. But there are messages from both sides doing the rounds on how on both sides are going to try and prevent the results from being announced early on, and that the fight is not quite over as yet. Well, we have a very special guest with us, Mr. G. Balachandran. Kamala Harris's uncle joins us now. Thank you, sir, very much for being with us. How are you seeing things right now? Do you think that the Democrats, that Kamala Harris will be having a very tough time in America as these results come in?
Look, the election results will not be called in for some time. There is no point in CNN or somebody calling the winner. It is the Electoral College that will decide that. The second thing is this. There are 50 states, each one has its own way of counting. So there's no unified way like in India.
Mr. Balachandran, could you tell us, Mr. Balachandran, can you tell us a little bit about your association with Kamala? When did you meet her last? How has the family always remained tight despite, she being over there, you being over here?
Let me tell you one thing. Of course, Kamala and her mother, I was very close to Shamla. Kamala is close to me. So as a family, we are very close, and she has said it, and we have said it. So in that sense, what I think of Kamala, or whether I talk to her, whether she talks to me, is nearly not of relevance right now. The relevance right now is how is the US going to be governed for the next 4 years. Let's concentrate on that and not on the trivialities, whether she likes idli or dosa or sambar. Okay?
I take your point, but there's a lot of interest in her interest in India as well. Be that as it may, let me ask you, Mr. Balachandran, in terms of what Kamala Harris potentially brings to the table as a leader, what do you believe are her biggest assets?
Look, her biggest asset is that she is young. Two, she has shown her mettle as both in the California as Attorney General and as a Senator. And she has shown herself how aware she is of the America's problem in the Senate Judiciary Committee. And fourth, she has been able to mobilize the young and energize the minority communities in a far more substantive manner than Biden alone could have done. So her impact on the minorities and the youth will be very high for a long time to come, whether she wins or loses. Okay?
She's had a major role, at least the Democrats would hope that she's had a major role in reaching out to the black community in the United States, the Latino community, and obviously the Indian community as well. Do you believe that she has been able to do that?
Oh yeah, look, with the black community and the other minority Asian Americans, there's no question about it. But we have to be clear that the Latin community, if you are talking about Florida, they are far more interested and determined by what happens in Cuba and other things than what happens in South Asia. Okay? So her influence on the Latin American community will be less than her influence on the black community and on the Indian community and other minorities.
Right.
Okay?
And sir, in terms of one of the key aspects in the run-up to the election, Black Lives Matter and the campaign over there, we've seen some of Trump's most vindictive statements directed against the Black Lives Matter movement. Do you believe that this is an area where Kamala Harris may have an edge in terms of her appeal to minorities?
Look, the next 4 years, what you have to see is whether the positive aspects of Kamala's candidature are more than outweighed by the negative aspects of Trump presidency if he gets elected. If he gets elected, his negative effects will be far more dangerous than the good that Kamala can do.
All right. So I must ask you, and I know that you want this focus to remain on the US election and what's happening today, but do tell us a little bit about Kamala Harris, the person that she is. How strong has she kept up with her Indian roots?
Look, she has kept, but this question has been asked me. I hope you don't mind me saying that. What is my Indian root? Is it my language, Tamil? I speak Tamil, but I can't write very much. Is it my religion? I don't know. What is Indian root? I'm not a tree that I got a root. I was lived abroad in 18 years, so did I lose my Indian root? All that I can say is this. Whenever she was in India, she was very happy with the food, with the environment, and she was in Chennai. She was quite happy with the friends who came, dropped in, our Indian friends, my parents' Indian friends. She was all happy. So I think that's the Indian root. She never felt out of place in India while she was in India.
And how does she identify herself in the United States? Being of mixed origin, how does she see herself? What is her identity?
Look, there's no question about her. She was brought up in an Afro-American community all her life. She went to a school with majority of Afro-American. My sister was living in Oakland at the time, which was Afro-American. My sister was involved in civil rights movement. So all her life, she has had far more Afro-American friends, family friends, than anything else. Therefore, there's no question, if given the choice and given say yes or no, she will say she's more Afro-American than anything else.
Mr. Balachandran, one final question to you. Could you tell us a little bit about her entry into politics, the American mainstream politics? Why did she believe that this was a path for her?
Look, that is the influence of my sister Shamla. Shamla had told her children, if you want to study, become a lawyer, doctor, whatever you are, that's good. But whatever you study, whatever you learn, see how you can use it for the good of the society. That's why when she became a law, she didn't go into corporate law or private law.
Right.
Okay, so from then onwards, she has dedicated her life. So she did as a district attorney of San Francisco, as an attorney general of California, as a senator from California, and now she expects to do as the vice president of the United States.
All right, Mr. Balachandran, it must be an incredibly proud moment for you. The elections are really going down to the wire, but one way or the other, Kamala's contribution huge, and it's something really worth watching out for. Thanks very much indeed. Amitoj, I wanted to come back to you. How much of an impact has Kamala Harris had on this election campaign for the Democrats?
Well, thanks so much for that, Vishnu. I was listening very intently to what Sir was saying. It's interesting because there are a few things that he said I need to be highlighted, put a spotlight on them. The first thing he said is that, in effect, Kamala Harris doesn't identify as Indian or Indian origin in America. In America, she's thought of as black. The black community considers her one of theirs. She went to an African-American college also, Howard University. She was in Canada for a bit, but she came back. But essentially, she grew up amongst black people. Her mother, like the gentleman was saying, was also somebody who was married to a black man, even though from the Caribbean islands. And they both had a love affair and they got married. They later separated, but she was brought up in a black community. So that is very essential. I think it is very important now to also give you the flip side to this, that Donald Trump hammered the point of Kamala Harris not being kind as a prosecutor when she was a prosecutor in California to the black community. That may have resonated. The big news right now, Vishnu, is that Ohio has actually gone for Donald Trump. And Ohio is one of those states that very few presidents have not won and still gone ahead and held the White House. This is a situation where Republicans have won now the crucial battleground state of Ohio. So is it a bellwether of what's likely to come right now? No, we know the blue states are still important.
Okay.
I don't think now Kamala Harris is a factor. I think she has been removed from the equation. It is basically a factor of how many voters have come out and voted in these three states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
Okay.
We don't know yet about North Carolina because that's slightly close. That could prove to be a critical state, and also Georgia.
I wanted to go across to Durab. We just sort of came to a break, Durab, and I wanted to go across to you earlier on. The other important sort of results that people are looking at are the Senate results. Now, 51 is the majority mark over there. And according to the Associated Press right now, it's 42 for the Democratic Party, 45 for the Republicans. This has changed, as I understand it, in the last little while. And there was always this expectation among the Democrats that, look, irrespective of which way it happens, we will have a controlling stake or a controlling say in the Senate. Firstly, for the benefit of our viewers, how important is the election for the Senate? And B, where do you see this going?
I think if Mr. Trump becomes the president, it becomes extremely important for the Democrats to control the Senate so that he can't ram through his judicial nominees. And also then they mean that they have both the houses. So that gives them some flexibility, though Mr. Trump can, of course, veto any bills that don't have a 2/3 majority in either case. But they need to control the Senate only in order to ensure that Mr. Trump does not just put more judges on and on and on. Otherwise, the government is going to be deadlocked anyway because the House is going to be Democrat and the Senate is going to be Republican. But there is some, I think, one of the seats in Arizona is flipped. I hear that there is a seat in South Dakota, which may slip. In fact, a larger number of Republican seats are up for grabs. Not that they've been grabbed. They're Democratic seats. They need to pick up 4 seats net. They're dropping one definitely in Alabama and probably one in Michigan. So they need to pick up 6 seats to get a majority in the Senate. And that changes the entire equation as far as the Democrats are concerned. If the Republicans control the Senate, even 50, because the vice president breaks the tie, then they're home. So it is now that it looks as they may not win the presidency, it looks much more important for them to get that victory in the Senate. So they at least have the 2 legislative chambers with them.
All right, Durab, thanks very much for explaining that to us. We need to take another short break, come back with a lot more. Do stay tuned.